watched a video interview with Maggie Gyllenhaal for the New York Times, in which she was talking about her experience as a film director, and they showed her trying to get herself set up at her desk to have the conversation with a journalist and directing the camera crew around her to put her a little bit further away from the window because the light was too bright. And that actually was very useful for me because I'm always sitting at my window because I want to have some light on my face, but I also feel like sometimes I get too much light and I look really washed out. So let's see what I've learned from Maggie. Hello, I am here today to talk to you a little bit about my journals and planners and how that is coming along. It's been a little while since I've updated you guys on my planning journey. It's been quite the journey this year, and it is the beginning of March, so it's a good time to kind of talk about that. And I'm just going to start off by just like saying straight out that I have declared Hobonichi bankruptcy, and I no longer use my Hobonichi cousin despite loving it so much for the month of January. So let me explain a little bit what happened. So when I purchased that planner, I did so with a lot of thought and planning and pre-planning and kind of trying to figure out how to use my various I inventoried my needs, and then I looked at different pages and spreads, and I thought that would be a really good fit. I did Hobonichi planning for the month of January very diligently, and it took me a little time. I'm looking at my notes here. It took me a little bit of time to find a groove, but once I got there, it was really great. Like, I felt like there was a purpose to each one of the spreads that was corresponding to an actual need that I had. I loved my monthly spreads so that I could have like that full picture view of my life, which is frankly the main reason why I needed a bigger planner from what I've had previously. Last year, I was using my weekly spreads to organize my days. I struggled a little bit with the vertical layouts at first, but then I figured it out. It actually really learned to love that layout. I know it doesn't always work for everybody. And then I was using the daily spreads to do daily logging, kind of like that interstitial planning that really works with like a distractible ADHD adjacent brain. That's how I was using my daily spreads, and then using the bottom of the daily pages for reflection. And I really honestly loved having that mix of planning and work and organizing together with daily reflection all in one place. I really love that. And on days when the workload was lighter, I could journal a little bit more, and on days when the workday was really fuller, I didn't. But there was nothing in that layout that prevented me from using those daily spreads however I wanted to. I also learned that there's like a certain aesthetic look that really appeals to me. I started experimenting with stickers and washi tapes, things like that. This is like a very kind of representative page for what most of my daily layouts looked like. This is what like a weekly layout looked like. Anyway, it was fantastic. The reason why I decided that I wasn't sure this would be good for me is that I didn't really like the flipping back and forth between the different layouts, especially the weekly layout and my daily layout. The other thing that I noticed about it was that I was really preoccupied with the aesthetics of the experience. And I don't mean that, it was not a bad experience. In fact, that was one of my most favorite things about it. I loved selecting my marker and pen combination. I loved kind of discovering like a visual layout pattern that I really liked. I just noticed that I was spending so much time thinking about it and like really kind of being mindful in a way that was like shifting the focus of the notebook for me from something that was supposed to be really functional and like help me stay organized to a more kind of like a creative experience, which I adored, but frankly, that's not what I need in my life right now. And it was almost taking away from the actual functional experience of the notebook that I really needed it for. So I decided to take a break in February, and I thought, it's a short month, so let's just try a couple of different things then, and then I could always come back in March to the Hobonichi if I still felt like I didn't have a better solution. And to be honest, that experience of taking a break from the Hobonichi really kind of surprised me. I felt real sadness for this thick notebook. I really missed it because I think especially I was missing just like the part of me that is the creative part, and was really enjoying that part of the experience. Was really sad. And then also I really missed the daily reflections and just having that little bit of journaling space. But of course, I didn't miss the pressure that I was feeling to be creative and to be journaling every single day and like checking these boxes. So I tried a couple of different planners and systems and things like that to replace the Hobonichi cousin for me. And actually what I did initially was so simple and worked for me so quickly that I almost felt like it was a mistake, or that I was just kind of like confusing myself because I was just so, discombobulated by my very intense Hobonichi experience. So I'm going to show you what I did and what I've actually ended up sticking with through February and March. So what I ended up doing was picking up this Stylogy Slim monthly notebook. It's a calendar, and essentially it's just this notebook replaces my monthly view of the Hobonichi. It is very simple and straightforward. I don't know if you guys can see it. And I just use this notebook. This is what I was really truly needing early in the year when I was trying to decide between my various options. And I just really need like a full picture of life. When's travel happening? When do we have family things happening? Important dates, birthdays that I need to do stuff about that are not like social media, like happy birthday kinds of things, like things I need to buy gifts for, send cards for, things like that. Big deliverables for work that go beyond like your daily, slog of activity. That's what and also my Substack content ideas, sort of like where I wanted them to fall during the month and that sort of thing. So I had this notebook, and I purchased it originally when I was just looking for an insert to go along with like my Paper Republic weekly, and I love the design of it. I love Stylogy notebooks, so this was great, and I've used it for in February, and I'm currently in March. So at the beginning of the month, I kind of placed the most important dates. I already had some things that are just like for the year, the things that I already knew about. I have a list of just kind of like a tentative list on a sticky note of what I want to read this month. It's all on here. And then this works alongside what I have sort of stumbled upon. And it is, I guess I'm realizing now, a bullet journal. Maybe it's like a bullet journal light. I don't want to give the impression that I'm doing like super intense, serious bullet journaling now. But essentially, what I was trying to figure out is how to avoid all the flipping back and forth that I was doing in the Hobonichi between my between my weekly view of tasks that I was trying to accomplish, my list of things that I'm keeping track of, and then of course like needing to carry this with me alongside an actual notebook for taking notes at work and then for myself. And I had like a really busy week at the beginning of February and just ended up doing this kind of on intuition, and then I realized, wow, like this is actually working for you, and it's bullet journaling. So essentially what I'm doing is that I have a single notebook for all of the things. This is my to-do list for work, for my personal life. These are my ideas that I collect for like my Substack, for example. These are my work notes on projects that I take during meetings or when I'm doing reflection or trying to organize my thoughts and trying to do deeper thinking for my work stuff. This is also reading notes, and it's also my weekly planner. So the way that I accomplish all of this in this notebook, and I can I'm going to talk a little bit and then I'm going to flip through some pages because it's hard to navigate the microphone, but essentially this is like my monthly planner with all of my important dates and events, and then at the beginning of the month, like I write my monthly brain dump, which is like the monthly list of things that I know I need to do both for work and for my personal life. I was already doing that in the Hobonichi. I've already shown that. I'm just transferring it here. So that's how I start my month, with like that brain dump. And then for each week, I do a little spread like this, where on the left side, I write my work to-do list for the week based on that master list that I start. And then I have like my personal to-do list on the other page, again, based on my master like to-do list for the month. And then I just kind of draw this like vertical weekly layout at the bottom, which is something that I learned to use when I was actually using the Hobonichi planner. And with just like keywords, I kind of slot specific activities or projects on their assigned date. And that works because I have the full list with like the full detail of the particular task right above, so I don't have to struggle to fit it into the column, which was kind of hard to do in the Hobonichi. But because I have them both together here, that makes sense. And then once this is sort of like my main spread during the week that I kind of reference, and once I have the list for the week, I just proceed on the following pages to take notes. Take notes for work, take notes for Substack, take notes on whatever I'm doing. And the only thing that is a little bit, I don't know, like an extra step through all of this is that I number the pages, and then at the very end I have an index, which is bullet journal like practice. And the only thing is that I don't index every single page. I just index the pages that include notes that I'm going to need to reference in the future. So my stomach is really growling. I'm sorry if you can hear that, but I have I'm planning a team reset day, for example, for my team at work. So I've taken notes on that. Like about a month ago, I haven't actually scheduled the reset day, but I have my notes here, so I can reference them, even though a lot of notes have passed since I took those notes originally. I have notes on a couple of books that I was reading earlier this month. I have some notes on a Substack post that I was planning to write, but then I took the notes and then ended up writing something else. And then I have a list of dream Substack partners, for example. It just things that I like. I mean, there's just so much in the notebook, but I don't need, like, a lot of it is just like thinking time, processing time. So once the week is over, like, I don't need to reference those notes continuously, but there's a lot of things that like I write down that I need to be able to find easily. So this has been working great, especially in the combination with the monthly Stalogy. Both of these books are pretty small. This is an A6. They're like 365 notebook in the A6 format. It's kind of thick, lots of pages, so I can keep going. And this is a very small planner, very thin notebook. So on a daily basis, this is what I use. And if I have to check them in my bag, that's okay. One thing that I want to address, because I know I've spoken so highly of the Paper Republic notebooks before, and I'm still using it. I'm going to show you how in a little bit. I just noticed that like during the week, even though, you know, the Paper Republic leather portfolio allows you to put multiple inserts in it, it can fit multiple thin notebooks easily, but it can't really fit like one of the thicker notebooks, more than one of those thicker notebooks. And I just found that like I was constantly like replacing the little inserts. So that is just not working for me as a notebook or a system that I'm trying to use like every single day. So that's just sort of my experience. And I think that just the way that my brain works, like I just opened too many tabs, and I was trying to use individual notebooks for the individual topics and things that I was working through, like at work and then at home. And it was just starting to feel like constant flipping through notebooks as well. So between like using that and the Hobonichi cousin, which was a lot of flipping back and forth between layouts, I was like, enough, this is too much. What this bullet journal kind of approach allows me to do is to basically stay very close, like to stay very closely to my weekly list and plan. And then like if I need to flip back and forth, like I'm flipping between the same notebook. So that feels like less like a burden. Like I feel like I have the right notebook with me all the time. So before this video gets too long, I just wanted to also just mention really quickly a couple of things that I have not changed. So I'm not like, I really don't want to be thinking about this all the time, to be honest. Like I don't want to be changing notebooks and systems and things all the time. I really don't want to do that. Like I am in such a crazy time right now. So in fact, what I want to be doing is like using less and thinking more, but just like not constantly optimizing, because I just don't have the time. So I'll show you what is still really working great for me in a way that's like that was working, that I've referenced in the past. So this is my cover from my Hobonichi cousin, because I still love that so much, and I just use it to as a cover for my personal journal, just like my diary. So this is where I'm just processing. It's like a brain dump. I don't do morning pages anymore because that makes me sad and depressed, and I feel like lame to myself. But I do journal when I need to. I do it, I would say, like a few times a week, and like this is great. Like this is just the same. Also, because this is a notebook that doesn't really leave the house, like I can use whatever, I can use up whatever random notebooks I have lying around, and that's great for me. My book journaling stack is essentially the same. I use everything, I just kind of slide things into, this little charm almost hit me on the face. This is my Paper Republic XL notebook. It's the brown one. I think the color is cognac. It's scratched up, it's messy, it's getting kind of soft around the edges. I love it. And here I have, in this, I have just my simple book journal where I take notes if I am going to be, it's like where I'm taking notes when I'm preparing for my monthly Substack posts. If I'm doing more kind of like, if I'm really into books, so I want to journal more about it, I take notes here. I just recently had an opportunity to write a book review for paper publication. I put notes here on that as well. I also in this book have two small inserts. I have my reading log. You guys know I'm obsessed with these, so I feel like I have to say it again, that if you learn one thing from me is that you have to keep a very basic log of the books that you're reading. So this is me so far this year in this gridded insert. And then the last one is a book that I have little insert from, that I have from last year. And this is just my TBR. And for those of you who are kind of new around here, you should know that I don't just like keep like a steady list of, you know, everything that I want to read as it comes up from me, or as it comes up for me, or as I learn about books. This is more for me to keep, like, these are authors that I'm trying to become a completionist in. So I have a list of author names without their book titles, and then once I start reading somebody that I really love, I put them in this notebook and just like write down all of the books by them that are available to me, and then I mark them up as I read them. So this is like my Claire Louise Bennett list. I have a list for who do I have here? Annie Ernaux, Nicole Krauss, Catherine Lacey, Lena Ferrante, and who do I have here? Oh, I should go Sebastian Deborah Levy. So it's not like a super long list of authors, even though I'm always adding to it as I discover new authors that I'm obsessed with, but this is sort of how I manage this list, and this is fine. The last notebook in the stack is my commonplace journal, which is just quotes from my most favorite books. And I have to be honest, I've been neglecting this because I'm really busy, but this is the kind of notebook that you can just always return to when you have the time. The only change that I'm looking to potentially make to this system is to replace my reading log with a slightly more sturdy notebook, because this is great as part of the system, but I don't fill it in. I don't fill in the whole notebook by the end of the year. And in the same, and because I don't read that much, like, I mean, I'll have, last year I read 80 books, so that was like 4 pages worth of notes. But at the same time, my notebook from last year, because I picked it up so much, just got dirty and messy. So what I'm thinking of doing right now is to just like pick up maybe like a hardcover notebook that is easier to archive, and it's just gonna kind of be fine for a few years, and just like copy these into that notebook. But other than that, this is great. Like, as a system, this works, and I love keeping, oh my gosh, again. And I love keeping them together because they make sense together. And the last journal that I haven't changed at all, and maybe I'll just do a separate video for you because this is fun. It's my junk journal. So I use a passport, a Paper Republic passport size cover for it, and I just replaced the inserts, and I just completed a big chunky one. I love these guys. They're just so cute. And something that I have mentioned in the past, I have a dedicated video on junk journaling, but something that I really love doing is actually listening to audiobooks and junk journaling. So I've done some of that this past month. I have been doing it, I guess, since the last update. So I've completed at least this notebook. I can't remember when I showed you my last journal, but this is an ongoing practice. I'm not changing it. It's amazing. I love traveling and collecting little pieces that I want to include for it. And I got a little teeny tiny printer for it, which prints crappy photos, but I don't care. It's just for fun for the junk journal. In a way, it's appropriate. So that's my update. I am very curious to hear how you guys are faring, especially if you're new to your Hobonichi cousin, Hobonichi cousins, because I convinced my friend Jackie to start one as well, and we had so much fun picking our journals and our covers, and we were all excited about it. And she told me that she has given up on hers as well. I guess it's just, it's just like everything in life, it has to fit you and your life in order to work. So I don't feel embarrassed about it. I think that I'm really excited. Like, I'm really excited what I've learned from it, about myself, and what is important to me. And I just really encourage you guys to kind of pick a month and like run an experiment on journaling and planning, or anything else that you're trying to sort out in your life. Because when you kind of go all in for a specific period of time, like, you can really do that. And then when you're making a decision at the end of that experiment period, yes or no, like, you're making that decision with like good information. So that's me. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions about any of the above. And if you have, help me figure out what to do with my reading log notebook. Honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards using a super standard journal, like a Moleskine, like a hardcover Moleskine, or a hardcover log term. Something that is sturdy and archivable, and also something that is going to, I'm always looking to buy notebooks for some of these like longer term projects, like my commonplace notebook, for example. I want them to be a company that's been around for ages, because I want to be able to keep adding to the archive and like stack them up neatly, and know that they will be in business 10 years from now when I'm looking back on the collection. I know it's ridiculous how my brain works, but anyway, that's what I'm kind of thinking about right now. Hobonichi bankruptcy. That was that. We tried. Anyway, I hope you're having a lovely day. Tell me about all of the things, notebooks, that you've been thinking about, and I will be back with another video hopefully very soon. Bye.